Welcome to the RPG After Years, your weekly show covering all things RPGs from the past, present, and future. I'm Scott.
I'm Rich.
And I'm Jay.
Awesome. This is episode 51. Today, we'll be kicking off our review of our newest completed RPG Club game. It's the 2017 PlayStation 4 sleeper hit, NieR Automata. Since it's a review, we won't be doing any catch-up or anything like that. Today we'll be covering the development history and the story of the game, and we will cover gameplay and do our ratings in part 2 next week. But before that, we do have an important announcement, so we'll roll right into the save state of the podcast. Okay, so as Rich and Jay are also aware, we do have a winner on the game that we have selected that has been voted upon for the next RPG Club. And that game is the one that I nominated, World of Final Fantasy. So how do you guys feel about that?
I'm excited, kind of.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to playing it. But part of that is because I'm looking forward to being able to make fun of it. Because I know, like, just watching the trailer for the game is enough to know, like, okay, this is going to be probably a mediocre game, but it's going to have a lot of areas to laugh about.
Yes. I don't know. I've had it for a while and decided, or I got it and I haven't really decided to play it or anything. So I was like, that son of a bitch. You won.
Yeah, I also have owned the game for years. When I got it when it first came out, and I played like the first 2 hours, and I remember liking it generally, but I don't know why, but I just never picked it up again. So it's just been something that's been on my backlog for a long time. I do expect it to be mediocre. I've heard the gameplay is okay, and it's just the characters that are like awful, apparently. Just like really hard to tolerate. Especially like there's like a mascot sidekick character named Tama that speaks oddly. I do remember that from my 2-hour session before.
I think I remember somebody talking about that, the thing talks like the thing, you need to get on everything. Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome to make fun of.
I'm a little shocked that it won, to be honest, just because of its reputation, and there were, to be frank, the lineup of games that were being voted on was a pretty amazing selection. So interesting how the cards can fall on the table, I guess.
There might be.
Few times I wanted to change mine.
There might be what, Jay?
There might be enough people interested in like actually finally getting it off their freaking backlog.
Yeah.
No.
So the plan is we are going to officially start playing that on February 14th. So we still got like a week and a half or something. We got through the voting process super quickly this time, just because there was a sale going on in the game and people wanted to be able to actually buy it for cheap if that was going to be the game. So,
well, I mean, a lot of people still voted, and we had enough. Was it based on patrons that pay us to actually vote? Patrons. Yeah. So by the time we figured out who all voted, it was a clear winner, and then we had to do this split vote or
do a
second
runoff.
vote.
Yeah. I was interested. It was between World of Final Fantasy, Super Mario RPG, and Chrono Trigger. It was a 3-way tie, so we had to do another vote. But shockingly, World of Final Fantasy won. So here we are.
So I still wanted to change my nomination. I was wanting to change it to Breath of Fire 3 afterwards, but I was like, whatever.
Maybe next time.
You ever do that? You nominate a game and you get so excited about it, and then you're like, oh crap, what about this one? It's too late. So oh well.
I don't even think this is the first time I nominated World of Final Fantasy, so I am confused how I won still. But anyway,
I think Corey did this. It was Corey's fault.
Corey manipulated things.
He did.
Wouldn't surprise me.
From the shadows.
So we will go through the RPG releases real quick, just so that it doesn't pile up on us for our next regular episode. So, Rich, you want to do those?
Yeah. So RPGs released in the last 2 weeks.
Actually, it's 1 week. That's a copy paste problem. Yeah.
I read everything that's on the teleprompter. You know that.
The one time he reads correctly.
Released in the last week. Okay. Yeast 9, Monstrum Nox, PlayStation 4, February 2nd and February 5th. So
I've heard it's good.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say it's really good too. Skyforge on the Switch, February 4th. Werewolf, The Apocalypse, Earthblood, PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox Series S, Xbox One, PC, February 4th. Neo Remastered, the Complete Edition, PlayStation 5, February 5th. And Neo 2 Remastered, the Complete Edition, PlayStation 5 and PC, February 5th. It's weird why that's not on the PC. The first one's not on the PC, but
that is weird.
Yeah, that's it.
So the RPGs releasing this coming week: Dragonborn on PC, February 12th. Wheel of Fate on PC, February 12th. Good Night Night. So good night as in day and night, and then comma night as in the class of warrior. February 16th, it's entering early access. Shattered, Tale of the Forgotten King on PC, February 17th, it's exiting early access. Fallen Legion Revenants, PS4 and Switch on February 16th for North America, February 19th for Europe. Azure Lane Crosswave on the Switch, February 16th for North America and the 19th for Europe. The Protagonist EX1 on PC, it's entering early access February 18th.
Nice. I have heard of none of those games.
Me either.
Wheel of Time is that podcast you guys did a book series on, or right?
We tried. We tried, and then it just fell flat. But it was a really good one. I had a lot of fun with it. But Wheel of Time, and that's the one that's coming out on Amazon too. I'm really excited for that show when Amazon produces that.
Wheel of Fate is on this list. And I was like, that's not the same thing, right?
No.
Yeah.
I'm pretty positive Azure Lane Crosswave is a game for a fan servicey anime.
Oh, you would know all about that. Our anime correspondent.
Live
fan servicey, yeah. Okay, but that's it for like our general announcements. So we're gonna jump into the review. All right. So NieR Automata, the game came out originally on February 23rd, 2017 in Japan, but we got it quickly thereafter in North America on March 7th, 2017. That was 1,434 days ago, or 3 years, 11 months, and 1 day. Which is weird because this game, even though it doesn't really feel that old to me, I guess, but I guess it has been a while.
I heard of it several times from people saying it. I've seen a lot of fan stuff, a lot of cosplays and whatnot. And I'm like, what is this weird thing? And then the guy with the big head and the weird face.
The funny thing is, after we, even now that we've played it, I feel like that's still an accurate statement. What is this thing?
Yeah.
And then in Europe, it came out 3 days later on March 10th, 2017, which was 1,431 days ago, or 3 years, 10 months, and 29 days. One thing that we always do on this podcast, we talk about what was at the top of the charts at the time as far as music and movies go. So for the US and the UK, actually, it was Shape of You by Ed Sheeran.
Let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that body on me. I'm coming now, follow my lead. I'm coming now, follow my lead. I'm in love with the shape of you.
For me, Ed Sheeran is like hit and miss. He has some songs I really like, and then some songs that are like I don't really like, but they all get super overplayed. It's like, oh my god, shut up. There's one song that Corey wants to play at our wedding. I can't remember which one it is. It's not this one.
This one would be funny though.
True. It's like literally about dancing on the dance floor. You put it in my arms. If I thought about it, I could remember. How do you guys know Ed Sheeran?
I'm digging
What
it.
was your question? This is very loud music.
Oh, you can't hear. Okay, I just asked how you guys feel about Ed Sheeran.
He's good enough. I mean,
Yeah, he's
hit
all right.
and miss.
Yeah.
I do. Some of the songs are good, some of them are not. I do love this song, but not by him. I actually love a cover of it by Fame on Fire.
Is it like a metal version?
Yeah, you need. I really like Fame on Fire stuff because they do a lot of their own music, but they also do a lot of covers of new hit music and stuff like that. So Shape of You is a pretty good one. I do jam out on that one in the gym. So obviously it's fitting. Shape of You. I love my
Metal's
shape.
not my thing, but I know you guys like it. So
there is one of his songs I'm pretty sure that's really, really old. That's like pretty old. And it was like his voice is not as good in it, but it's a good song. I can't remember. It's a song about some like a woman struggling with drugs.
Interesting. Apparently, we're just like not remembering anything this morning. We're tired, gang.
Brain.
I'll let you go over the movies, though, Rich.
Yeah. So what's interesting is this is the box office #1 in the US and UK. It's the same one. It's Logan, which was directed by James Mangold, starring Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart and Daphne Keane. I really liked Logan. That was a really good movie.
It's a fantastic movie, especially from a series known for kind of mediocrity.
Yeah. Well, and they just kind of went out on the high end. They're like, okay, we know we have a good story. We know we have Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is the best they were ever going to have. So we need to send him out on a bang before we get bought up by Disney.
Yeah, I love that movie. It was great.
Interruption. The A-Team. Ed Sheeran.
Oh.
She's in the Class A-Team, stuck in her daydream.
Gotcha.
She's been there since 18, but lately her face seems slowly slinking, wasting,
that does sound
crumbling like pastries, and they scream. The worst things in life come free to us because we're just under the upper hand.
We have a live performance.
Going mad for a couple grams. A good song.
Yeah.
Rich, have you been watching WandaVision?
Yes, every time the episode ends, I'm just like, I need more.
And you're caught up, right?
Answers. Oh yeah, I'm caught up.
Okay. For the sake of time, we're not going to talk about it right now.
I know. We'll talk later off air. It's so bad. It's just my mouth dropped.
Right. Okay, so jumping into the history of NieR here. NieR Automata is an action role-playing game developed by Platinum Games and published by Square Enix. It is a sequel to the 2010 video game NieR, itself a spin-off and sequel of the Drakengard series. Personally, I was told that you do not need to play the first NieR prior, but I feel like that really would have helped my appreciation of the story if we had. But yeah, we'll get there. The game originally released for PlayStation 4 and Windows via Steam, with an Xbox One port being published the following year with extra content with the subtitle Become as Gods Edition. Become as Gods, become as Gods.
It's good. So weird. So set during a proxy war between alien-created machines and human-crafted androids, the story follows the trials of combat android 2B, her scanner companion 9S, and a fugitive prototype A2. The story requires multiple playthroughs, each unlocking additional story elements. Gameplay combines role-playing elements and action-based hack and slash combat, and features switches between video game genres similar to that of NieR, with elements ranging from shoot 'em up to text adventure.
I think we were all surprised when we first started playing the game about like all the different like genre switches that happen while you're playing.
I was so confused half the time.
It was interesting.
Yeah,
it was interesting for sure.
So after the release of NieR, both director Yoko Taro and Square Enix producer Yosuke Saito wanted to create a sequel. But Saito spoke to the assistant producer Yuki Yokoyama, and Yokoyama was unwilling due to the original game's low sales. After the positive fan reception of the original NieR, however, both Square Enix and the lead staff who worked on the original game were willing to continue the NieR IP, but also wanted to create a better, more action-oriented gameplay experience. As a result, they contacted Platinum Games, which had developed a reputation for high-quality action games like Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising. The collaboration was agreed upon on two conditions: that Yoko Taro become director and that he be present to help with production. The latter condition necessitated a move from Yoko from Tokyo to Osaka, where Platinum Games was located. Although Taro was initially uneasy about the collaboration, the staff at Platinum Games had been wanting to work on a game since its release, and their enthusiasm and wish to remain faithful to the originals soothed his doubts. Platinum Games handled primary development of the game, while Square Enix supervised and gathered many staff members and worked on the sound environment.
I find that really interesting. Just the fact that like it was like a collaboration born out of like, okay, Platinum Games is good at this genre that we want, so let's have them do it. And then they're like, but also you have to have our director or whatever. And now this is like sort of what Yoko Taro is known for. So, okay, it's time for my voice actor corner. As you guys know, I find voice actors really interesting as far as like, oh, the person who played this character also played these characters. So here we go. So Kira Buckland, the voice of 2B, also voiced Pride and Lust, not in FMA, but in Dragon's Dogma.
Well, darn.
Jabanya in Yokai Watch, Artemia in Bravely Default, Mary and Mint in Tales of Xillia 2, Hikoyo in Danganronpa 2, Seraphina in Disgaea 5, Edna in Tales of Zestiria, and the female avatar
Zestria.
in Zestria. Okay, so I've been meaning to ask you this. Zestiria and Zestria, they're the same game, right? It's just people say it wrong all the time? Or is there two different games?
Or maybe I'm the one saying it wrong.
I don't know.
Well, it's Tales of Berseria, Zestria, Vesperia. Like those are the only ones out there, but most of them end with area.
Okay.
I think I might be the one producing it wrong. I'm pretty positive my brain has omitted that first I the entire time I played this game.
It's like Legend of Legalia.
Yep.
And also the female avatar in Xenoblade Chronicles X, Falk in Street Fighter V, Celine and Elisa in Trails of Cold Steel 2, Trucy Wright in Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice, Loxia in East 8, and Cordelia in Octopath Traveler. So she's gotten around a little bit, it seems.
A little bit.
As for Kyle McCarley, who voiced 9S, he played Helbram in Seven Deadly Sins. I'm sure Jay is familiar with
Seen
that.
it.
Yeah. Yushiro in Demon Slayer.
Seen it.
Zerokin in Disgaea 5. Alm in Fire Emblem Heroes. Hal in Astral Chain. The infamous Gatekeeper in Fire Emblem Three Houses. Gran in the Grand Blue series. And Lan Di in Shenmue 3. So he's not quite as prolific, but some memorable roles. And then finally, Shirami Lee. I hope I'm saying that right. The voice of A2 also voices Isa, Miss Golden Week, and Pepper in One Piece, Elizabeth and Black Butler, Sailor Venus in the 2014 Sailor Moon reboot and Sailor Moon Crystal, Pixie Bob in My Hero Academia, Kamaru in Danganronpa Another Episode, Alexa in Xenoblade Chronicles X, Mai in Fire Emblem Echoes, Makoto in Persona 5. Oh, I forgot about that. Rhea in Fire Emblem Three Houses, Arianrod and Trails of Cold Steel 3, Nanoha and Yakuza Like a Dragon, and female V in Cyberpunk 2077. So she's getting around too. I don't know why. I just always find that so interesting. Like, oh, they did that character too.
I always find it so anime is so bad for this, but it's like the same English voice actors recycled. So
I have like 12 people who do voices in English animes.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So some interesting developments have come out about just recently. First, an actual cheat code was found more than 3 years after the game's release. When we found that out, it kind of blew our minds. Which allows you to skip to the ending of the game and unlocks debug mode and chapter select from the get-go. So that's pretty cool.
We talked about that news story last week on episode 50 for anybody who wants to hear more details about that.
That was so weird.
It blew my mind. I can't believe that happened, or like things like that happen.
I could have cheated the whole game.
Yeah. And Frost could have skipped everything.
Yeah.
The game was praised for its story and themes, gameplay, and music. Minor criticism was leveled at some visual and technical problems. The PC release saw a mixed response due to technical issues that were not officially addressed. Initial sales surpassed Platinum Games' expectations, and as of December 2020, the game has sold over 5 million copies worldwide, saving the studio from bankruptcy, or almost bankruptcy. So it was kind of like the game was a surprise hit and like a runaway success. This game is weird, so it's like, I think we've talked about this before, it's kind of impressive that it managed to catch on in the mainstream as much as it did.
So Platinum Games was going under.
That's what I had heard. I think it was a combination of the success of NieR Automata as well as like Nintendo sort of like paying them to make some games or like sponsoring their games or whatever. But like they were in some financial trouble at the time.
Well, Bayonetta was pretty popular, wasn't it?
I thought so.
Yes, but it was Nintendo that like gave them the resources and the money they needed to make Bayonetta 2. So and
They just
now
wanted
Bayonetta's-
Bayonetta for Smash. They were just
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that Bayonetta they made it into like PCify her enough to even get into Smash, but that's a whole nother
I
tangent.
feel like a lot of studios are like on the verge of bankruptcy like every time they release a game. So
That's because people kind of suck at making games.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're just like, okay, we this has to go well or we're screwed. Every
Very
game.
expensive to make a game. I don't know if it sucks. It just you're done.
And Platinum Games is really a really talented studio, so thankfully
Yeah.
things worked out like they did.
Are they
Yeah.
involved in the NieR Replicant remaster
I believe so.
rehash? Well,
I
good
don't
for
know
them.
for sure, but I think that's right. And for those, it's not in the history here, but they are remaking the first, not remaking. It's like a really robust remaster with the combat rework to be more similar to Automata. So that should be fun, and I think we'll all play that when it comes out.
We
Got
will.
it pre-ordered.
Absolutely. Okay, but that is it for the history. So we are going to move on into the story. I have the like PS4 dynamic theme for NieR installed, and that's the song that plays on it. So like in my head, it's like the theme of the game, even though it plays like only in one area. in the game.
Side note, I miss themes on PlayStation 5.
I know. I want them back. Please give me
So
themes.
bothers
I
me.
love them so much. I pay money for themes. So. Okay, so we sort of already said like the general like who is 2B, who is 9S, and all that, but basically the game takes place in like it's post-apocalyptic, and all the humans are gone. We'll find out later some more details about that. But basically, the humans have evacuated to the moon because apparently aliens came to the planet and like ran them off, and the aliens built these machines, combat machines, I guess. And so the humans built androids to like fight the machines. And so we have this organization called Yorha, Glory to Mankind, and it's
Glory
comprised-
to mankind.
Glory to mankind. Yep.
Machine
and-
on machine crime.
right. So they're like this war organization. However, the planet below also has androids that are not in Yorha, and they are basically they're the resistance, I guess you could call them. I guess but the aliens haven't been seen in forever, and neither have the humans. So it's like just the androids and the machines are who we get to know throughout this game. So 2B is a combat android, and the game sort of opens with her in like a bullet hell. I forget the name, the type of the game. I think it's called a Toho game. I'm not sure, but it's like asteroids, basically, really high tech asteroids, which surprised me from the get go. I'm like, I did not know this was a thing in this game. But 2B's going down to the planet. She's with a bunch of other androids, except for all the other androids like immediately get fucked by the machine flying things, and so it's just 2B left.
The game starts out, we're gonna kill God, and then everybody dies.
Like, oh God, no.
So she quickly meets 9S, who is a scanner android, and he's meant to just like analyze combat data and provide information. He's not really meant for fighting. Sort of like just like a tech partner type deal. 2B is like really aloof, I guess you could say. the androids are not supposed to have emotions. 9S does not really follow that rule. So like immediately you're like, okay, so 2B and 9S are gonna learn from each other. I guess you could say.
A heartwarming story.
Yeah.
Coming of age.
Yeah, it's like a Disney movie.
Yeah. You sort of learn how to do combat after she lands, and you're in like this big factory area that's like on the coast of an ocean. You have a couple boss battles with these giant Goliath machines. They're like the size of a huge building, but they're a machine. Um, so you sort of have some boss battles with those. It's like kind of a cool opening because it's just like very epic and grand in scale. But
So what does this place? Does this game take place in Hawaii, like Pearl
feel like
Harbor
it does.
area? I'm pretty sure that's correct.
I had no idea there was a canon place, real world, that it's supposed to be in. Is that true?
I was reading some in the wiki, and it mentions Pearl Harbor a lot.
It. Oh wait, I think I even remember. It must be because I remember Pearl Harbor coming up in like one of the documents or somebody mentioning it. But yeah, I guess that's right.
Well, it looks like it takes place in the greater Tokyo area,
Oh.
but I mean, that's literally like a rock stone away from Hawaii.
Yeah, true. But anyway, so you beat the Goliath machines, but then like 3 of them come out at once, and 9S does like a kamikaze move to take them out. And so this is when you learn that the androids or the Yorha androids have this thing called a black box that they carry with them, and it's used to like self-destruct as a last resort. So they do that, they blow up, and then basically you learn that 9S was able to like back up 2B's memories to the bunker, which is like a space station. It's Yorha's base, and at the cost of his like he didn't have time to back himself up though, so his memory is like starting over again, which is sort of a theme that comes up later.
I like to call it the cloud. They back up their memories to the cloud.
That's basically what it is. So on the space station, I already talked about how you sort of meet the commander and you learn the ropes of like how Yorha functions. You're just sort of like getting introduced to things here. It's like a calmer moment. But eventually you meet the commander and she gives you your next mission that you're going to go back down to Earth and gather some intel. And that's basically the whole opening. We're about to really get going here.
Yeah, so once you get back to the abandoned city, you eventually make your way to the resistance camp, which is non-Yorha androids that are just gathered in a camp. And this is whenever you can start doing side quests, which I did none of.
Nope.
How you do have to there is some chatting about, you learn how to shop, stores, couple things here, but eventually you talk to like the leader of the resistance camp and learn about machines in the desert.
Anemone is her name.
Anemone.
Yeah.
Anemones.
I always think of little Finding Nemo when I hear that.
Yes.
And the city is like, it's in ruins. Like I don't know if anybody's played Sonic Adventure, but think of like the city at the end of that game.
The answer is no.
Nope.
I've not.
You're missing out. JK,
I hate
it hasn't
Sonic.
aged well.
So once you learn about the machines in the desert, you walk to the desert. So it's a big desert area, and at some point you start destroying like groups of robots, but you do find one robot that's like, you attack it and it eventually is like, don't kill me, and runs away. And it starts raising questions like, why robots, machines can't do that. They can't be scared and run away. What's that up?
The androids
what's
think
up
of
with
the
that?
machines as like kind of mindless, and all they know is like to kill and combat and shit. So like they start seeing these machines that display other emotions. So it's like, what the fuck's going on?
Yep. So you kind of chase after it. Everybody's a little bit confused, but then you eventually see like an apartment complex, and there is a good little conversation about like, apartments. What are those? It's where the humans used to live. Weird.
Yeah. Anytime they talk about it, doesn't come up that often, but anytime they start questioning like the day-to-day lives of the humans and how they operate, I guess it's funny because they like kind of make fun of us. It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yep. So after you follow them, and there are a couple like boss battles. And at some point that once you get towards the end of the like this little trail, all the machines like combine together and like give birth to like this basically just looks like another android. It's got the white hair, but then you fight it and you seemingly kill it, and then it like splits off into two, like another one emerges out of it, and then you just everything starts crumbling down and you get the heck out of there.
We later learned that these two machines are Adam and Eve, who are the primary villains for like the first half of the story. But think of like a naked Sephiroth at this point. It's kind of off-putting because it literally is a naked man. They just don't have genitalia. So.
No need.
I do love how you skipped over the most important part of this little section is the robot orgy that's happening.
Oh yeah,
all around you.
It's not just a robot orgy. They're like replicating all kinds of different like weird human things. Like one's like taking care of a baby. Yeah, so there's just a bunch of different human emotion things that are happening that these robots are like replicating.
It doesn't become super apparent until later, but we later learn that the entire, whether they realize it or not, the entire purpose of both the androids and the machines is they're trying to become more like humans. So
what better way than to fight and bang?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I walked across two robots. One robot was getting it. I mean, getting it. I was confused, and that's when you drop down and you land in the open area. When you see them all doing that, I landed right next to those two robots getting it, and I was like, okay, this game is
love me, yes.
So we're sort of like well into the story at this point. What did you guys think of like the beginning in general?
Confused.
It was it was pretty confusing, but it was all right. It was confusing.
It was also very interesting, but I mean, we'll talk about how we felt about the story in general later, but I also felt like it was setting me up with great expectations that end up not really being satisfactorily resolved, but alas.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't hate it. I mean, I liked it so far. The weirdness and how it's looking at that very beginning, it's like, okay, this isn't a normal game I would play, but I'm interested. And then the robot orgy kind of throws it in there. I'm like, all right, we got to keep going.
Now I'm really interested.
Let's see where this goes. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Okay. Well, I'll let you take the next section then.
Yeah. So the next one's called MIA.
Or how Rich might say, Mia.
Mia. That's what I did at first. No, I did not. So we need to find missing Yorhas. You go to the music park. You get a notification that there are a squad that ends up going missing in a certain area. So you have to go locate them at the music park, which has friendly machines, which is kind of weird. We hadn't seen friendly machines yet. You can attack them, I think, right?
I did first before I realized
they'll get mad and they'll come at you.
They're green eyes versus red eyes, basically.
So Gracie's been like playing with like, I'll make a save file just for her, and she'll like, diddle around and not really doing anything, just running around using her imagination. And she accidentally attacked one because she was getting used to the controls, and they all started mobbing her. And she freaked out. She was terrified. I was downstairs and I just heard her screaming bloody murder. And it was because of that.
Now she will be terrified of the toaster.
Yes.
And this amusement park area is like really cool because it's like a school line, fireworks going off, parades and shit, and it's very odd just because it feels so out of place in this world that is supposed to be like basically dead.
Yeah, you have like was it popcorn stands, jesters, you have clowns. Everywhere. Yeah, it's just all wild. First off, who made the balloons?
Maybe they have like vacuum machines.
They have an air compressor.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, okay, who made the balloons? Who made the popcorn? Who did all this stuff? So, but we get too really deep into that. So, once you do that, you have a boss fight with a giant opera bot.
This is a cool boss fight.
Yeah, I thought that was a more interesting boss fight throughout the whole entire game. What's really funny is not really fun, but really aesthetic to the whole area is you've got android bodies like posted up everywhere. I think they're all wiped down to their cores, no skin. Right.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of where it really starts to be like, okay.
What is going on here?
I'm starting to like, this is where you start to imagine like, okay, I get it. Robots are not or machines aren't what we think they are.
Right.
Yeah, because why would you make this giant opera lady and all of a sudden, but then how would that person or that robot take over android bodies to make them weaponized? So
it seems this machine is like obsessed with becoming as beautiful as possible, which is just
I am beautiful
thing that machines shouldn't care about.
Yeah.
Humans.
Crazy.
Gotta hate them.
So once you finish that, you kill that machine. You get to do machine recon. So you're invited to a village of machines that seem to be sentient and peaceful. Pascal asks you to deliver a fuel filter to Anemone. That's the name of it.
Anemone.
Pascal is the machine leader of this friendly village, and he
just shows up.
A pretty important character.
Do you guys remember the TV show Futurama?
Yes.
I
love
Futurama.
Bite do you remember shiny metal ass.
Not Bender, but the other red robot that showed up and like stabbed people constantly.
Stab.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. looks like Pascal.
Oh yeah. I could see that.
That's what I was like. Okay, so you got Pascal, who's the nice robot that is peaceful, and this other robot, Futurama, just stabs people and steals their stuff.
Yeah, and I really love this machine village area just because, like, mostly because of the music, but like all the machines are like waving a white peace flag to the like beat of the music and singing. It's really cool.
It's like, please don't kill me. There's no
Roberto. That's the Stabby Bot's name.
Yes. There's no robot orgy. Yeah, that's the last time you see that. So a little disappointed.
So you kind of learn, like Rich said, that this machine village or whatever is actually working with the resistance camp, like a mutual agreement, I guess. But I think that is a good spot for us to take a quick break. I think a couple of us might need to piss here, so we will be right back with the next mission in just a sec. I'm not sure if I actually built in a break into this episode.
You did not. I'm looking down here. I'm like, it goes straight down.
I didn't even think about it.
That's okay. We'll blast through all this. Yeah. We still got plenty of time.
Yeah, I don't need a break either right now. We'll just
I don't think I do.
Yeah. It seems like we might be making slow progress right now, but once you get past like this Route A stuff, like the rest of it will fly by, I think.
Oh yeah. Are you and Corey doing anything for Super Bowl?
We might watch a little bit of it, but no, we're not really big NFL guys.
I'm not either. I'm going for the food and spending time with my brother.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
We're more college football.
It's my hometown, or not hometown. It's my state's team, so I guess I got to support that.
There you go.
Yeah, and I want to watch Brady die.
Versus,
I hate Brady.
The Buccaneers, who is the team of the town I will be moving to eventually.
Yes. I just want Brady to like break his leg, not hurt him like indefinitely. Well, actually, I don't want him to play anymore. I just want him done. Which sucks is because, the thing is, he's going to Super Bowl with this new team where he did all that stuff with the Patriots. So it shows that it was not just that team. It's not systematic. It was more of, he did all that. I still hate him, though. I just don't like him.
Stuff like that all the time. So
he needs to break his leg so he can't play again. He'll still be worth millions.
Why don't you just hope that he just retires? He's tired of it.
He won't retire. He retired once.
Instead of hoping for a broken leg, how about you hope for his peace of mind and life fulfillment so that he can retire happily and move on?
Listen, he's got like 8 Super Bowl rings, a supermodel wife, millions of dollars. He's fine. A broken leg's not gonna really. He could be done with that. Because after that he'll become a sportscaster, I bet, or some analyst for the NFL. He'll still be really
stay home and bathe and wine all day.
It's
I would not.
Is what it is.
Going back to work.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything for the Super Bowl, Jay?
No.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go for the food.
I'm gonna play Trails in the Sky SC.
That's probably a better way to spend your time.
I would rather play FF14, but whatever. I'm still trying to grind my way through to get to Gunbreaker.
Oh yeah.
That level curve from level 50 to 60 is stupid.
I'm sure. I wouldn't know. You guys ready to get back to it?
Let's do it.
Starting back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're back. So 2B and 9S are heading back to the resistance camp to deliver this fuel filter for Pascal to Anemone. And when they do, they sort of question Anemone, like, what the fuck? Why are you working with machines? And I think she basically tells them, like, you're naive. It's a mutual. We're helping each other in this world. You got to do what you can to survive, or something like that. So Anemone asks you to take some viscous oil back to Pascal, but on the way back, these the giant Goliath machines from the beginning of the game, they appear in the city and they kind of like wreak havoc. Like they create this giant crater in the middle of the city and just kind of fuck shit up. So you have another like sequence with the flight units with the bullet hell shit. You take those out, and it's really cool. I mean, I'm glossing over it, but it's like a cool, pretty like epic part.
I'm sure we'll talk about these parts in the more epic battles in the gameplay section too.
Yeah. So you get back to the machine village and you kind of grill Pascal about it, but he claims that they have nothing to do with it, which is actually true, as we find out, I think. But yeah.
So with that being said, you after you are done with Pascal, you go back to the city ruins and actually defeat the Goliaths. And then whenever you defeat them, the big explosion, there's a huge crater, and they unearth something in the ruins. Something beneath the city. So you go down there and explore and poke around and fight some more machines, and you eventually get to a point where there's a ship underground. So you go inside, and it's a spaceship, and you find out that the aliens never actually left the planet. They were just underground, and they're all dead. And so
this is kind of a mind blown moment for me.
Yeah, it was.
It's like subverts everything you thought you knew about the backstory, I guess.
Yeah, so confused.
Yeah, so all the aliens are dead, and then Adam and Eve both pop out of, or is it just Adam that appears this one time? I can't remember if they both show up or if it's just one. I think it's just one of them.
It's both of them, actually.
Is it? Oh yeah, because they both.
You have to fight one of them, and as 9S, you have to fight the other one here.
That's right, and it's the side scroller fight that sucks.
Yeah.
So at some point, you eventually
giving all this dialogue that seems important, but like I'm too distracted trying to win a boss fight, so I didn't take.
Yeah, it's like how are you giving us this backstory while fighting? You're not out of breath or anything. Come on. Well, I guess machines don't need to breathe. That makes sense. So eventually, you learn that the machines ended up becoming smarter than the aliens, and decided to just kill all the aliens. So it's a pretty cool, like we said, a pretty cool double battle, side scroller battle, I guess. And you learn that Adam and Eve want to go to the moon to see the humans and stuff, and like learn more about them or dissect them, because they basically want to be humans.
Right. And what was I going to say? I meant to mention this earlier, but the voice of Eve is Ray Chase, who also voiced Noctis, so as Frost pointed out. So I thought that was really interesting.
No wonder I felt so annoyed by him.
How dare you?
And then you also get fast travel here, thank God, and you can finally completing the side quests a lot easier.
I didn't use fast travel until I didn't realize fast travel was a thing, because I probably skipped the dialogue until way too late.
That's unfortunate. Okay, so you go back to the machine village because you want to ask Pascal about the machine uprising and learn more. Basically, I keep wanting to call him a she because it has a very feminine voice, but it's definitely a he. But you learn about there's like another sentient group of machines out in the forest, but Pascal kind of warns you, be careful, they are not as peaceful as us. They're very protective of their area. So you go to a new area. It's like this very beautiful foresty area that has like a traditional actual castle at the end of it. Um, there's like these squads of war machines that like are sent out to battle you, and it's pretty like interesting area. But you make your way through this ancient castle, and you eventually find their king, the king of these forest machines, and it's like a little baby in a cradle, like a baby machine.
Little baby bot. Yeah.
Yeah. And we won't go into like too much backstory about that, but later on you find out like the history of this kingdom and how a baby came to be the king. Um, but anyway, so the baby is actually eliminated immediately by another android who we mentioned earlier, A2, who is.
It never explains why A2 kills this baby king. Never.
The best I
Yeah, it
can
doesn't.
figure is
No, I don't think so.
she hates machines and she wants all machines to die, so she like went for the king of this group of machines. But you're right that it doesn't give you like any like deeper motivation than that, as far as I remember.
Right. It seems like a very like
Personal
critical.
thing.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty critical point in the story. Like, oh, she just killed this robot king. Like, what was this? What was this machine king? Was it like who was it? What's so important about it that she had to like dramatically destroy it?
Right.
And we just find out, nope,
Vindictive.
she just wants to stab it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stab this thing.
So she is actually like a very old android, apparently, one of the first Yorha models, and she has gone rogue. And so they like warn 2B and 9S to stay away from her. And you have a little another side scroller boss fight with her here, but she eventually escapes. But that's it for the forest area.
So after she escapes, you eventually go back and tell Pascal about all that happens. And then after that, you have to go and get some like mission info from Anemone. From there, you actually need to do a supply mission, like a missile supply mission, which takes place at an area called the Flooded City, which is exactly what it sounds like. So you go there, bunch of robots, and eventually you just have to go through another like mech shooter because you get in the mech because the supply, like what is it, a boat? Yeah, like that supply boat is getting attacked by a bunch of robots or a bunch of machines. And then so you fight them, and then out like all of a sudden like a humongous whale machine comes up and just like destroys the ship, and you're like, oh god, what the heck. so then,
and this part is like really grand in scale. Like I know it's difficult to describe just talking about it, but like it's pretty epic.
Yeah, there are like two phases, whale mode, and then freaking Autobot,
Decepticon.
Yeah, Decepticon, huge monster. And from there, 9S kind of comes up with a plan. And he ends up like somewhat pseudo-sacrificing himself. But basically they shoot like a huge missile at it, and it causes a huge explosion, which blows everybody back. And scatters the Yorha forces, and 9S is nowhere to be found. Yeah, so 9S or 2B wakes up and is just like, what? I don't know what's going on. Where's everybody at?
And it's interesting because she is pretty distraught at the fact that like 9S might be separated from her or whatever. Like she's tried to like maintain throughout the whole story so far this air of like aloofness and like lack of emotions, but like it's clear once she gets separated from 9S, she's like pissed and like really cares about him, which was sweet.
It's very emotional. Yeah. So that actually gets into the next mission called 9S MIA or Mia.
9S Mia.
Yep. Basically, you gather intel from the resistance camp about the survivors. You meet the redhead twins. Yeah, twins.
Twins.
I have no idea.
Papola and Devola, who become more important later.
Yep. So you speak to the redhead twins who have intel about 9S somehow. Now the next mission is MIA 9S MIA 2. After finding other survivors, you eventually find your way to an all-white fake city.
I could have typed that better. By that I mean the city itself is like just pure white.
Yeah, it's the whole canvas is white.
By only white people.
So it's Missouri. It's central Missouri.
Hey now.
It's
No,
like a fake,
it's
like just a fake copied city that has been built by the machines.
yeah, yeah. So you find out that 9S was captured by Adam, more dapper now, as
He's
Scott
wearing like a
likes to
weird
put it.
suit.
Yeah, he's very, very stylish. Has captured 9S and wants to trade him for the humans. 2B is pissed, cool boss fight, and somehow you get 9S back. And it's not really clear why Adam wants the humans. He just like, I want the humans. Give them to me. It's like she's got them in her back pocket. Like, okay, here you go.
I think you can start to infer that like they want to be humans, like they're trying to understand humans.
I want to be like you.
This whole area also gives lots of Kingdom Hearts 2 vibes.
Oh, I could see that because it's kind of similar to the
world that never was.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say. And we kind of glossed over it, but like the imagery of this part is pretty cool, especially when you find 9S. He's like literally pinned to the wall high above with like blades. It's pretty grotesque, but anyway.
He's a robot. He has no feelings.
Right. So after you get 9S back, you learn from Pascal. He gets sent back to the bunker for now. But we learn from Pascal that another sentient machine colony is forming at the abandoned factory. And so you decide to go there with Pascal to like meet this religious machine cult, I guess you could say. And you meet their Pope leader, but almost as soon as you get there, they like start to malfunction. And for some reason they think that they can all become gods somehow. This is where the become as gods thing comes up, where they're just chanting it over and over.
I don't know how that happens. Like they just went that weird leap of faith there. It's like, okay, we're good. Now we're gods.
Yeah.
So
I mean, humans went through the same thing a handful of thousands of years ago.
We're still kind of dealing with that now a little bit.
Yeah.
So who are you to judge these robots?
That's true.
I don't. Kind of dramatic because not all of the machines go haywire, and so the ones that do still maintain their senses are like panicking here. And
they're like, oh no.
It's a virus. Basically, it's a computer virus that just freaked out. So with the Twisted Religion mission here, you fight your way through the factory with Pascal, who does nothing. I think does he do anything?
I wish he did actually like fight a little bit. That would have been interesting or more interesting, I guess.
Yeah. So not all the machines have turned. Engine blade. What do you have a note for that? Or I can't remember.
I put that there because it's Noctis's sword. You can find that around here.
You can?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's pretty well hidden. So
okay.
I was following a guide though. So.
Using guides.
It's me.
Cheat. I know. Then the boss fight with a giant ball. Is that Soshi?
Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool fight. I thought that was interesting. So then after you defeat that boss, the machines yeet into the lava. I'm assuming you mean leap into the lava.
No, they all yeet themselves.
Okay. I'm not hip to the lingo. Okay. They basically commit suicide. They're like, well, I don't want to live anymore. I'm gonna just kill myself.
Become as gods.
They're gonna terminate
or suicide.
It's actually a kind of like disconcerting part because like, well, fuck, damn.
Yeah, it got real dark. After escaping, you see that Eve is becoming corrupted and angry over the death of Adam because you killed him in that
Eve
previous.
Has a much more like codependent, childlike personality than Adam, and like all he cares about in the world is his brother Adam.
So I don't think we explicitly said that 2B kills Adam whenever she rescues him.
Back at the copied city, we killed him. He's done.
Yeah, she stabbed him.
The entire time he was like, "Is this what dying feels like? So cold." He's like loving the fact that he's feeling like, "Oh, this is what it's like to die. So interesting."
It's weird. He's a robot. He's a robot. Yeah. How could he die? Did she hit his power block? I don't know.
All the oil came out and he couldn't lubricate his gears anymore.
Or as in WandaVision, or Vision eats that piece of gum and totally screws himself up. You remember that?
I cannot relate. Yeah, I have not seen it.
Well, I can relate with Scott. That's who I was talking to.
Oh, way to leave me out. Singling me out. Okay.
You need to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, superhero movies.
It's not superhero movie. It's a comedy.
Yeah, but it makes no sense if you haven't watched the rest of the MCU.
That's true. No. So that's what happens. He gets all mad.
Yep. And so you get back to the resistance camp, which is on fire. and mysteriously okay later. But anyway, so you find the machines are like attacking the resistance camp and actually eating the androids, which is pretty upsetting because why would they eat? I don't know. So
Zombies.
You find Anemone, you help her and the rest of the resistance evacuate. And at this point, 9S shows up to help. I think he literally like falls out of the sky from his flight unit or something. And then you fight another boss, Bokushi, which is like a round 2 kind of with the big spherical robot. But from there, Eve appears and he summons another machine. It's like a multi-legged Goliath. You kind of have to like fight your way through the city to defend it from various like machine threats. And then you learn that the machine village is also under attack. So you kind of save them. And then you go to the center and Eve's corruption is complete. He's turned into like an all black machine slowly. Kind of reminded me, Jay, of Greed from FMA.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah. So this is the final boss of Route A. For those that don't know, you have to like play through 5 different scenarios, more or less, to actually get the true ending. But I didn't really have a hard time with Eve. It's kind of a disappointing boss fight almost for me, anyway.
It was also kind of a pain. Like I felt more inconvenienced by the fight than I did enjoy it.
Like it was truly didn't feel like a final boss fight, really.
No.
There were also some aspects that were just annoying.
Yeah. So you get ending A here. 9S and 2B lose their masks, which I think most people have been waiting for the whole game so far. 9S appears to die, which causes 2B to have like an emotional breakdown. By far the most emotion we've seen from her through the whole game. But apparently 9S managed to survive by fragmenting his brain into the nearby machines. And so 9S is saved, and it seems like it's sort of a happy-ish ending. And that's the end of Route A. And I'm just now remembering, we haven't even mentioned the pods yet, which are these little flying square robots that are like computer navs that also shoot things for you. That each
They're just your operational manager.
Yeah.
And they slowly become more important.
Yes.
Like at first you're just like, okay, they're just kind of like there to help direct you with information. But then towards the end of the game, you're like, okay, they're actually characters in the story.
So that's the end of Route A. What did you guys think in general so far?
I thought it was all right. So I thought my perception of this game was that this was the actual ending. We were just going to see it from different perspectives. So whenever I first completed this, I was like, this is the ending. And now I just get to see other perspectives of the ending. Like there's no resolution. I feel nothing.
Same here. I thought I was done. I was like, yay, I'm done. And then you're like, okay, now to the next section. I'm like, wait, what? There's more?
The ending is kind of an emotional scene just because it is a little touching to see 2B emote that much, I guess you could say. But it feels like it wasn't properly built up enough for me. It's like she goes from 90 to nothing, or I guess nothing to 90 in this case.
Yeah.
However, there were lots of questions raised at this point, so I was interested to see, like, okay, that felt like the ending, but seems like we're going good from here. But we'll talk about that more. And I'll let Rich kick us off for Route B.
Yeah, so Route B kicks off very different. Nope, just kidding. It's the same stuff. So it's a breakthrough. You start off by the stubby trying to save its brother. I thought that was actually kind of fun. You have no idea. Little robot's like, hey, my brother. He's kicking him a little bit, and he decides
3 times because of that secret ending that you can get like right afterwards, and that I got twice on accident.
Yeah, I did that too. I was like, what the hell is the problem with this? But you have to get a bucket of oil to dump on him to actually like make him feel good. And then after you do that, and you see, or 9S actually shows is there watching it, and it's kind of like, robots are weird. So like, that was kind of
a stupid thing.
Yeah. Like, why would no. So you start off the initial abandoned factory mission played from 9S's perspective, long mech sequences, a lot of hacking. This introduces that next gameplay feature where you get to hack things to deal extra amount of damage. You have to repair yourself.
A major gameplay mechanic after this.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that part. Then you do
very overpowered.
Yes.
Yeah, even like the biggest machines, you do a successful hack a few times and you got them.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. So then you fight the boss, the Indials. Is that what's that? I can't remember what that one is.
It's just the giant Goliath thing, like its actual name.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the building sized machines.
So the next mission is reboot. You go to the bunker as 9S, standout moment. So you basically go there and reset to 2B settings. You go there, make sure she's good to go, because you find out that 9S is basically her partner that keeps her
Well, it's
up and
like
running.
at the beginning of the game, there's a sequence where you have to go through the settings, and it's like a scene, and the voice tells you this will be recorded for whatever reasons, and then like in Route B, you actually see the recording of you setting up the settings.
Oh, see now it's clicking.
Also,
So
side note, there's a side quest involving Ingalls, the giant Goliath robot, where you like get to know it before it dies. So I think that the fact that they named it this time is like, oh, it's the same machine.
oh, all right. We wouldn't know. Me and Jay did 2 side quests. So then you go back to the gathering, the intel. You go to the city ruins as 9S. You gather intel, obviously.
You're
The
basically
same
playing through
part.
the same exact game at this point, just as a different character.
The machine surge. You go to the desert. Does not with 9S following A2. Same situation. Robot orgy. There you go. And then you make your way to the mission Mia for the amusement park. 9S. I don't even care. I'm just going to call it Mia from now on. Thank you, Jay. Just for you.
So we're gonna yada yada over this next part because it, like I said, it literally is the same exact story.
Yeah.
Up until the flooded city recon, which is the big like whale battle at the sea. So here you sort of excuse me, you play as 9S trying to like hack everything so 2B can win. Yeah, I think as you go through this, you do get a little bit more context about the different machines that you fought during Route A. Like it gives you some of their backstories, but it's like it's all pretty weird and fairly non-consequential. It's just like setting you up to care more about the machines in general, I think.
It's trying to make you have feelings, right, for machines in some aspect, like you said.
Right.
Okay.
So once you get back to the religious part in the abandoned factory, you have to like 9S hacks a machine from the bunker, I think, and like goes through the factory as a machine. Oh, I'm going through your section, Jay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was very confused.
I was trying to skip ahead to like.
Jay's like, I'm just gonna sit back.
Where
Yeah,
things start actually being different, but
it is pretty much the entire thing, except from like 9S's perspective, all the way up until the whole religious, the factory part, where you hack the machine and you control a machine throughout that entire segment of the story, and you can like it's a cool gameplay mechanic where you can just pretty much jump from machine bodies. So
I didn't figure out
9S
you could do that until like towards the end of Route B. I think.
That's
I don't
funny.
know why, but I guess I just never stealthily hacked anything for a long time.
Yep. So 9S does do the same thing where he helps 2B with the mission, and eventually, it comes to the same resolution as before. Nothing
Right.
too special outside of the hacking perspective.
Yep. So after this, 9S is like messing around in his data files or whatever, and he finds some files that he shouldn't that seem to indicate that things may not be what they seem with the humans. So
Doesn't he go to do like a backup? Like he goes to back up everything like normal, and then he's like, wait a second, like something feels off.
Yeah.
He takes a diverted path in that file system.
Mm-hmm. And then I think the pods or whatever are telling him, you're not allowed to do this. And he's like, I'm doing it anyway. So he's too curious for his own good. So he talks to the commander about it, and at first she seems like kind of threatening, like he's finding shit that he shouldn't, but she actually tells him everything. Apparently, the humans have been extinct for a long time, and Project Yorha was actually just to keep up android morale. And that the only thing on the moon is a few androids that do maintenance on like this server that sends out human messages to keep up the illusion that the humans are alive, which they are not. So that was like a big like twist that they threw out there. So not only are the aliens not around, but neither are the humans. So it's like literally just the androids and the machines fighting here. a proxy war with no proxies, I guess you could say. So that you get a distress call from the resistance camp. 9S decides to go down there and help them and fly down to Earth. And you go through the whole thing with the city under attack by Eve. Everything's basically the exact same thing for the rest of Route B, just with a lot more hacking. And like I mentioned, you sort of get more context here and there about the events, but other than that, no major differences.
I mean, I think the only like big aha moment in Route B was that the humans were dead. I think that's it.
Honestly, really, I could have done without having a Route A and a Route B and just like allowed character switching, I guess. I feel like they could have pulled that off and saved me a lot of gameplay hours, but
yeah, that's true. They could have done that. So let's move on to Route C. So onward to war, you start as 2B and learn that Yorha is launching a full attack on the machines now that Adam and Eve were dead. So this basically takes up place right after you finished the fight with them, and 2B and 9S have completed all that. So 2B leaves,
continuing the story here.
Yeah, again, I agree. The whole Route B was stupid, but then you play as 9S. 9S is to defeat 5 enemies across the city, then switch back to 2B fighting enemies in her flight suit. That was a little challenging. This little section was a little challenging for me to try to keep some of these people alive, but yeah.
I think there was like
it was so hard for me.
I was gonna say I think there's a level jump here, or like a difficulty.
Oh, there's a big level jump.
Yeah.
I had to drop it down to easy.
We
just say, yep. Me and Jay. It's okay. We
I was on easy the whole time and still had trouble.
So taking control is the next mission. 2B is tasked with being a guerrilla unit to support other squads. You go around the city to save various android captains, and they join you if you can let them survive. Then they are ambushed by an EMP.
Which is like a shockwave field that like fucks them up a little bit because they're androids.
Yeah, machine parts, obviously. 9S hacks the enemies and around 2B to save her, and then ends up having to hack 2B herself after the Yorha begin becoming infected with a virus. Then 9S uploads her data to the server and asks her to self-destruct, which she does.
So I thought this entire thing was really cool. Like, everybody started getting, like, all the Yorha members started getting hacked and turning on you, and like you would get hacked and your vision would mess up, or like certain parts of your of the gameplay became disabled because of being hacked. I thought overall
that's a nice touch.
This was a really interesting and cool story point.
Yeah, and especially like not that she's my favorite character or anything, but like I did care about what happened to 2B and 9S at this point. So seeing 2B get corrupted, I was like, no.
Yep. So 9S uploads all the data to the server, and she self-destructs, like Rich said. And then 2B wakes up in the bunker and goes to tell the commander what happened, but the commander thinks that 2B is infected. But then suddenly, like, the Yorha bunker is overtaken by the virus, and like you're all of a sudden surrounded by a bunch of people that are infected. 2B protects the commander. They make their way through the bunker, and at the very end, the commander's like, "Oh, I'm also infected. Look at my eyes." And then she orders 2B and 9S to return to Earth. So they use an escape pod to shoot away, and the Yorha bunker explodes. It's gone. So a short flight section, 2B sends 9S away and crashes into the flooded city. 2B soon realizes she's also infected and makes her way through the abandoned mall area to avoid spreading it. This part sucked. I hated it because you're just like wobbling around
city as like limping basically.
Yep. So once you eventually get to the mall, A2 like appears to kind of save 2B because she's being attacked by infected Yorha members. But you switch back to 9S, and he makes his way to 2B and arrives just to see A2 kill 2B. And of course, he's like devastated. And this is whenever you start playing, you can start picking between A2's progression or 9S's progression. So one thing that you do see whenever you're 2B, there's a nice little exchange between 2B and A2 where you can kind of tell that it's like like A2's doing this as like a mercy kill, and she actually like takes 2B's memories and like decides to I don't know, do something about it. Like
Well,
she's more in line with 2B than
they put
before.
2B's
She even cuts
memories
her hair.
into her sword, right? And so like,
I'm not. That doesn't make sense to me because it's a sword, but
it's kind of like the living legacy moment from the end of Crisis Core. Is what I got out of it. But yeah, this part is like really dramatic. Like things go to hell. Route C kicks off with a bang.
yeah, it's like all of a sudden you're like, okay, things are good, and it's like, oh nope, everything's terrible. It's bad. It's all over.
Everybody's infected and the bunker's gone, which
it
is important
escalates
because
quickly.
the bunker being gone is kind of like the cloud being gone. So like they don't have any way to back themselves up or anything from this point, which is unfortunate. We kind of talked about it on the main episode, but did you guys feel much of anything when 2B was killed?
No.
A little bit, but then I was like, I like A2 more anyway, and A2 is basically 2B. They're the exact same model,
They act very
kind
similar.
of. So I mean,
yeah. I already said this before, but I was spoiled on this before I even started playing the game, which was very unfortunate. I was pretty mad about that, but I feel like if I hadn't known about it, I probably would have felt something. But anyway, so the way we did this, we went ahead and played as A2 here. And you get scenes where the pods decide to follow A2, like they're gonna like stick with the androids no matter what. So 2B's former pod goes with A2, which, much to her chagrin, she doesn't really want the help, but it doesn't really give her an option.
it's kind of they're definitely snarky back and forth towards each other.
Yeah,
like the pod's always like, you're not, is basically saying like you're not as smart as I think you should be. Like you're making questionable decisions.
he's like, I require a mission directive. I will repeat this question every 30 seconds until, which is pretty funny. So she tells the pod that her objective is to destroy the machines. So you go to the desert and you fight like a giant sandworm boss, but A2 gets kind of fucked up from that. So her fuel filter gets damaged. So she decides to go to the resistance camp, and we find out that she and Anemone are old acquaintances. And you can read a long document about how Yorha first came down to Earth to assist the resistance, and how Anemone and A2 became friends and all that. And then right after this, Pascal appears, and A2 like meets and saves him. And even though A2 like despises the machine, she manages to like hold herself back from killing Pascal. So Anemone wants A2 to learn more about the machines, so she sends her to the machine village. And once you get there, Pascal asks A2 to go to the forest for more parts. And through interacting with all these machines, these friendly machines, A2 is like slowly learning that, okay, maybe not all machines are bad, but yeah. That's the end of that little part.
I find it funny that A2 just straight up stabs a baby in the face, but we'll stop at Pascal. So I don't know. There's a line.
She's learning.
Apparently.
She's growing.
Yeah, stabbing robot babies are bad. Shouldn't do that. So it takes a village. Pascal asks A2 to get to know the machines in the village, like Scott said. You do a series of subquests, which endears the machines to A2. Was that a sub? Were those
makes you
side
do
quests
a couple
that me
small
and Jay?
side quests here as part of the main story.
Okay, I don't remember anything.
The only
really
one
short.
I can remember is
let's
the
see.
book on philosophy.
Yeah, that was one of them.
Yeah. So, and then after that, the villagers request. So afterward, A2 goes back and you learn a lot more about
Anemone.
Anemone.
Finding
Nemo.
Anemone's past, and the first Yorha, A2 was among them, and you get a distress call from Pascal. So the village turmoil. So at the machine village, you find that flames, and as the machines attack each other, this is where they're eating each other. Some of the machines have gone nuts. A2 defeats all the machines, and Pascal tells you that he evacuated the children to the factory and asks you to meet him there. Does Did they allude to the fact that this is the same virus that happened to the Yorha units that caused them to go nuts?
Was that
I
ever
think it's kind of
answered definitively?
implied.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of
Okay.
implied that something related to that.
This
So
part's pretty
eventually,
upsetting, just because I actually did care about the Machine Village machines. It's like, no, not them,
Mhm.
not the innocents.
so you do meet up with Pascal in the factory, and you realize that hordes of machines are showing up. So you go outside and start fighting them, including like a Goliath tank. Ingalls show up. Pascal takes control of another Goliath, and there's a mech battle here where you play as one of those huge Goliaths. But when you are finished with that and you return, all of the children have killed themselves because they were taught fear by Pascal, which is like a very quick conclusion that Pascal comes to. Um, Instead of like, oh no, what the heck's going on? I don't understand. It's like, oh, it must be because I taught them to fear. That makes sense. But yeah, full of regrets, Pascal no longer wishes to keep his memories and asks A2 to do a factory reset or kill him. So you're given the choice of what to do. I just left. And
I was gonna
Pascal's
say,
like, no, are you really going to leave me here? Don't do this to me.
wow, I didn't know that he actually reacts if you do
Yeah.
that.
Totally. So after that, A2 leaves the factory and control switches back to 9S.
This part was pretty upsetting, just because Pascal is such a likable character, but at the same time, it's like I feel like they didn't do enough to make it dramatic. Like it was barely even a cutscene.
Yeah, it got real dark real fast.
Yeah. And this was also Straps/Frost's favorite part, who is in the chat. He says, I think A2 changes because she's melding with 2B. That's probably accurate as well. What did you do to Pascal again, Rich?
What did I do?
Yeah.
I wiped his memories.
Okay, that's
I did the mercy thing.
Yeah. Kai,
You're weak. Both of you are weak.
Kai was saying that it makes more sense to leave him like Jay did, but I don't think I'd read that at that point. And plus, he opens a shop if you do erase his memories.
It's all about the economy.
Right.
Okay. We need that shop.
Yeah.
He erases memory.
So from here, it forces you to switch back to 9S. So since the attack on the city where the Yorha was wiped out, there have been like these weird giant floating tower things that have appeared all around the city, and apparently, or the world, I guess. And apparently, they contain these keys that let you go into like this central tower thing that also appeared at the same time in the middle of the city. So as 9S, you sort of go around to these three towers. They're like mini dungeons, and you recover the three keys. And 9S is kind of like sort of losing it at this point. He's just like pissed off at the world since 2B's death, and he's not really the same like kind-hearted, curious 9S that we know and love.
He's definitely going scorch the earth.
Yeah, he is raking it. But after you get the second key, 9S is like too damaged to continue without maintenance. So he has to go back to the resistance camp. And at this point, you sort of get to know Devola and Popola a little bit better, because without the bunker, like they're the only ones who can actually do maintenance on the androids. And then when you get to the third tower, you briefly switch back to A2, who is like sort of pursuing 9S, because I think it was like one of 2B's dying wishes, like protect 9S or something like that. At the top of the tower, 9S has to fight the operator 210, who we have not mentioned yet, but she was sort of like 2B's communications support agent up in the bunker, and a pretty funny character. So it's kind of sucks that you have to actually kill her. So A2 finishes her off, and then a struggle ensues between 9S and 2B, but like the ground sort of collapses under them, and so 9S just sort of falls off the tower. And you have a boss fight against this machine. I think it's called like Auguste or something. It's the one that has like the big arms.
Maybe August.
I don't remember.
Yeah. So the machines from the beginning of 9S's Route B, the Big Brother machines, they beg A2 not to hurt its brother, but of course A2 just like kills them all.
There's also so I'm not sure if did you already cover where 9S goes through all those the floating towers. At the top of one of those towers, there's like an area where like a machine is like begging for mercy. like at the very top. It's like the machine's begging for mercy and saying how it just wants to live, and INS is like, nope.
Yeah. So
Not
Sorry
happening.
about you.
There's like no mercy. Begging you.
I thought that was pretty dark.
Yeah. So the next part is the tower infiltration. So 9S wakes back up at the amusement park. He goes to the tower and hacks his way to the entrance with the keys because he gathered all the keys. He begins to be overwhelmed by machines, but Devola and Popola appear and hold them off long enough for 9S to hack the entrance. Popola sacrifices herself to get 9S through the door. At this point, you can watch a long text thing to learn about their backstory.
So apparently, Devola and Popola are the same model of androids that were a major character in the first NieR, and apparently those two androids were responsible for basically the humans becoming ill and becoming extinct, more or less.
Oops.
Which it was around this point I was like, I really should have played the first NieR before this, but too late now. And
Crazy.
again, it's doing the thing here where I felt like it didn't really build those characters up enough to where it was a satisfying, like, okay, they died. Yeah, it's sad, but I don't care all that much.
Yeah, they give you nothing about the character and then like a wall of text to like tell you this is why you should care about them, and then they kill them. It's like,
It's almost
oh,
like
that
they ran out of time to like finish the story or something.
It's like this was not good part of the game. This is
Yeah.
not how you do it.
Yeah. So as soon as 9S he fights a bunch of 2B models and things like that, his arm gets stuck and he has to slice it. Does he slice his arm off, or does he get it sliced off? I can't remember. He did that.
I think it gets sliced off by one of the 2B models.
Okay, so he replaces it with one of the 2B units' arms.
Stupid move.
Yep, dumb.
Why would he even
dumb.
think that's a good idea? Come on.
Parts aren't interchangeable.
I miss you so much. I want you to be part of me.
I can't remember which character it is that implies this, but like a couple times it's implied that 9S only cares about 2B because he is horny for her.
Probably.
Oh yeah, it's in it was whenever he was talking with Adam and Eve, wasn't it? Like in his head.
Yeah.
So you get your control back to A2, who witnesses the death of Devola and Popola. She enters the library and continues to learn more lore about what had happened.
I sort of started to lose track of like how everything connected at this point. It was, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. So then you go back as 9S, you hack yourself to get rid of the virus. 9S stumbles upon two little girls in red who appear to be the master of the tower. He pursues them and has to take out flight units before taking one for himself. Meanwhile, A2 fights a multi-legged Goliath and continues up the tower.
This is where things start to get really incomprehensible to me. We talked about it on the last RPG Club segment, but I still don't really get what was going on with these two red girls, other than I think its primary directive was to preserve the memories of humans and machines and androids.
So I did some reading.
Oh boy.
And I'm about to drop it. So A2 gets to the top of the tower and faces off against these red girls, and eventually defeats them by not attacking them because the consciousness oversaturates and eventually like takes itself out. So these red girls they're not actually beings. They are the manifestation of the machine network. So the machine network
sentient.
Yeah, well, kind of. It's kind of like just the ego of the machine network. So okay. The aliens created the machine network to fight against the androids. But eventually, a machine network became, 5,000 years after it was created or whatever, the machine network became superior enough, killed off the aliens, and the machine network eventually realized that the only reason the machines exist is to fight the androids. And without that, like they have nothing else without that. So they decided to prolong the war between them until they have advanced enough to overcome that flaw, the flaw of not having reason. And so they eventually found out about Yorha and infiltrated Yorha through like a back door and started planting all the seeds that we see today.
So it's basically like,
Interesting.
they refer a few times to it being like sort of a cycle where things just repeat because the machines and the androids aren't advanced enough to not battle each other all the time. So what you're saying is that the red girls were basically trying to just keep them advancing over and over until they finally didn't stop being stupid.
Yep. So in machine learning, there's something like it's all recursion, linear regression, and everything. And so this is actually pretty interesting because this is how machine learning is. Like you keep iterating until you're able to come to the conclusion that is correct. So it's pretty interesting to see like the machine network needed to keep this war going, so they created a cycle of keeping this war going by infiltrating the Yorha and helping proliferate what they were doing until they eventually advanced enough to no longer need like the war to give themselves meaning, and so they
then
decided
why did they
like this is
blow
it.
up the bunker then?
They didn't need it anymore. They advanced enough.
Oh, okay.
The machine
that
network
makes
advanced
sense, and
enough.
it ties into the ending E as well, which we'll talk about here in a bit.
Yep. So I thought that was cool. The machine network's like, okay, we're advanced enough. It's time to pull the trigger and end the war. Yep.
Thank you for doing that research.
So after the consciousness kind of oversaturates and leaves A2 alone, there's a long boss battle between A2 and Koshi, and then 9S and Roshi, which is like this interchanging boss battle that's pretty interesting.
It's
but
a really
eventually,
cool part until you kill one of them way before the other, and then it keeps switching you back and forth
that
needlessly.
That sucks. But eventually they do merge and must be defeated. So 9S and A2 have finally come face to face, and A2 says that the tower is a cannon aimed at the human server on the moon, but 9S doesn't care about that at all because Yorho was built to be destroyed.
So he
literally, kind of like what I just told you. Yorho was built to be destroyed. A2 reveals that 2B was a unit actually known as 2E, whose designation was to kill 9S over and over. Because 9S would eventually, like, they needed 9S to be really smart to help advance the machines, but then 9S was like smart enough to figure out the secret, and so every time he would figure out the secret, he would have to be killed and reset.
A really cool twist, but also at the same time, I'm like, how did A2 know this? I guess because she got 2B's memories, but
yeah, and also she was the original, like she was the one who was modeled after, who 2B was modeled after. But 9S doesn't care about all of that, and he wants to kill
A2.
So he orders the pod to seesaw logic until either the death of himself or A2 is confirmed. So at this point, 9S really seems corrupted. So at this point, you get to pick who you control during this battle, A2 or 9S. With the other being the final boss.
Yeah, I was more on A2's side at this point, which was surprising because 9S was like my favorite character for most of the game, but he's just like totally lost it at this point.
Yep, same.
So if you pick A2, you get ending C. You have a boss fight with 9S, which I thought was way too easy for a final boss, but A2 does get the upper hand, and she tries to hack 9S to save him. And then she has her pod like carry 9S to safety. And so the tower around her like sort of crumbles, and she says something like, "What a beautiful world. I've never seen it this way," or something like that. And she tells everyone, I'm coming. No, inappropriate.
Nah.
And then you sort of, in the woods nearby, a moose notices 2B's sword, and that's just like a ending C. I didn't really get ending C, to be honest. Like what?
But did you say 2B's memories were in the sword?
Yeah. So I guess.
I mean, there's a chance. There's a little blimp of hope there.
Yeah, I guess that ties
some machine will come along and like I don't know, plug the sword in its brain and be like, I wonder what this will do. And then
I'm a sexy combat android now.
So once that's done, ending D, which occurs if you pick 9S. 9S is victorious when A2 hesitates, remembering 2B's wishes to protect 9S. 9S slays A2, but lands on her sword.
What a dummy.
Yeah. Oops. The pod tries to recover 9S files, and we learn a lot more about how the Red Girl's true intentions was to launch the androids and machines' memories into space as a preservation measure. I don't understand that, I guess. You get the chance to choose whether to stay or leave with Adam and Eve. Either way, the tower launches the missiles of the moon as the denizens of the land look on.
So basically, since the machines have now become like advanced enough to no longer need the war, they're like, well, what do we do next? And at first they're like, well, let's go. Adam and Eve were like, hey, let's go destroy the human servers on the moon with this rocket. But then they shifted like, hey, like we're done with this. Let's load the machine network onto this missile and just shoot us off and see what happens. So that's basically where that ends.
Weird.
And 9S can be like, do I go with them and like, hang out in space with them forever or not?
It does give you the option, but it like doesn't even affect anything really. I think he says like one extra line if you choose to stay or go or whatever.
That's dumb.
Odd.
All right, so during the credits after you finish C and D, the pod reveals that all Yora are now dead. The pods decide that they have to stop the mission. You do an intense suitor section to like destroy all the names in the credits. And if you suck like everybody ever sucks, you are like saved by players who deleted their save file, which is some really silly mechanic. So afterwards, after you do that, the pods band together and bring back 2B, 9S, and A2 by salvaging parts like all over through the land. And that's eventually due to they grew attached to these 3 androids over time, which, another layer of complexity. Here's a third little machine species that is super smart.
Yeah.
On top of that, their memories are intact. So Pod 42 wonders if that same cycle will repeat itself, but Pod 153 says that there's still a possibility that a different outcome may come about, which would have to. Like I don't think there's any chance that the same cycle would repeat.
Especially
the cycle was already broken.
The bunker now, so
yeah, the cycle was broken by the machine network.
Yeah, so it's sort of a happy ending, but it's also like leaves a lot to the imagination, I guess you could say. Like you don't know what is going to happen from there.
So with the extra reading that I had to do because I didn't understand it otherwise, I feel a lot better about like the overall story. I think they did a terrible job telling it, but
yeah,
I like the concepts behind it.
Yeah, there's definitely like an interesting, cool story under it all, but it's like you said, there's way too many like walls of text and very sudden bouts of character development and key pieces of information that are left out
and
for
confusion.
way too long. Yeah. So overall, I would say the story's okay, but it's not as good as I was hoping, especially because the setup seemed like it was really cool. I guess you could say the world and all that. What did you guys think, like just overall about the story?
So overall, I really like the theme. I really like a lot of the complex. I'm drawing a blank. Like the complex themes that come in with this. Like how the questionings of are machines alive or not? What constitutes as alive? What's real? What's fake? I don't know. I think it questions like what is alive, like what's humanity, what's where do we draw the line, and even more so, where do we draw the line of like seeing people who aren't like us or different things that aren't like us, like where are the commonalities? Like, is it fair to actually draw lines between two different people or two different societies just because they're not exactly the same?
Also, one of the main reasons for the conflict is just because the androids and the machines they're whether they know it or not, they're trying to become more like humans, and as a result of that, they're like in wars and in this endless cycle of needless violence, I guess you could say. So I do like the overarching themes there.
I also think it's really interesting that the entire game, you think that the majority of the game, you think that the machines are dumb and are like up and coming, like they're getting smarter, but really the machines have been pulling the strings the whole time,
Yeah.
and they're already like so ahead of the game, and everything. Literally, their entire plan was successful, except for ending C. Technically, I'm pretty sure where does the rocket launch in ending C?
I think it's
Or
D.
okay, the one where the rocket doesn't launch is like the only ending. I think where the plan doesn't really come to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Rich? Overall thoughts?
I like how it made you think more with this whole overall story, but I agree with Jay. It's kind of confusing, and they did a really good job of it. The mechanics of it was good, but I didn't like the whole multiple endings piece of it. Once I'm done with the game, I'm done.
I guess that's kind of more of a gameplay thing, but like I also hated the secret endings. Like it just was totally pointless to me.
Yeah, like why would you take a left turn instead of a right turn? All of a sudden, then you're done. So it's weird.
One thing that really sucks is that, like, I enjoyed the game and I enjoyed the scenes and everything, like how it was going on, but I think my favorite part about the story is literally the reading I just did this morning to help me understand the story. Like the nerd in me like thinks it's super cool that, like, looking at this, the way it's explained, how the way that the wiki explained to me about the machine network, like prolonging the cycle so it could like learn until it no longer depended on the war in order to advance. Like the nerd in me is like, yeah, that's like literally machine learning. Like that
Right.
that is how that's the one of the most basic machine learning algorithms out there, and they turned it into like such a grand scale real life linear regression happening. I think that's really cool, and as a huge nerd, I think that's pretty sweet. But
just told
overall, overall, it's like, well, the actually
badly.
playing the game and the scenes and stuff are all kind of mediocre for me.
Yeah, that whole thing it made me feel stupid. So, um, so I mean, did you guys have like any particular favorite characters?
No.
I already said mine was 9S up until towards the end, but
A2 is probably my favorite character.
she's kind of a badass. She's more like cool than 2B, I guess you can say. She's not as obsessed with like being emotionless. Towards the end, I thought the pods were starting to get really funny. And
oh yeah, 2B's pod is hilarious.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact line, but during ending E, he said something like, "I must look silly" or something like that. And the other pod is talking about how they're developing complex emotions, and he's like, "I cannot understand that at this time." The Operator 210 was really funny for the brief amount of time we got to deal with her a lot. I liked Pascal
if
a
only
lot.
we had an Operator 90.
Right? All the other characters like Anemone and Popola and Devola, all the other characters I can think of felt kind of flat for me.
I feel like Devola and Popola had a lot of potential for this game.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure whenever we played NieR Replicant version 1.5168 whatever it is,
Yeah.
whenever we play that, I imagine we will get a lot of information on the Devola and Popola models, but not those two particular ones. All we got was that huge text story, and I was just really like, I think it's a really good story, but it's like really underwhelming the way it was told.
I felt like they were doing that a lot towards the end, the walls of text, and it, like, I don't know if it was just me, but the text scrolled really slowly. So I was like, come on, let's go.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they did get lazy there. Like, oh, we have so much story we still need to tell. We're gonna have to put it into just text.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it, freaking 80s? What are you doing?
Did you guys have any like favorite parts in particular, as far as sections or segments or scenes?
I think probably the beginning of Route C was mostly my favorite.
That was really cool, to be fair.
Just the action-packed parts.
Yeah,
the
there's lots
start
of
of
really cool, grandiose action.
the very short war that the machines very promptly won.
Yeah, they already set that up. It's like, okay, we're ready. Let's just do this. Wipe it out. Boom.
It's hilarious
gone.
because you spend the entire game thinking like, oh, the androids are so more advanced, so much more powerful because you're these two androids that are just slaughtering all these machines. But then when the machines get serious, they just decimate the androids like the blink of an eye. They're just destroyed. The bunker's destroyed. All of them are infected and done for. It's like, oh, like they're a joke. It's
They
a
must have
joke.
been using McAfee antivirus. McAfee. That's so it
Right.
didn't work.
Yep.
I would
McAfee.
ask like what are your least favorite parts and stuff, but I think we already kind of went over those.
They didn't update it. They didn't pay their subscription.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the story?
That might be too long here.
Yeah. You guys got any
No,
other thoughts on the story before we move on?
Yeah, so I thought it was kind of like a mid tier, almost like kind of lower level story. Like high, like the higher level story. Like if I were to retell this story, I would like it better than whenever the story was told to me with the game.
Like a book or something.
Yeah, I feel like the pieces are there for this to be a really good story and to feel good, but the game itself was not great at telling that story. And I don't know, I thought it was all right.
I was very interested throughout, but at the end of it, I did feel let down, just kind of disappointed, which is unfortunate, but like it wasn't terrible. But yeah, I guess we've covered the story, so we'll move on to our outro now. Be it for part 1 of the NieR Automata review. So Rich, what are we doing next week?
And we are doing part 2 of the review with special guests Lauren and Corey, maybe
special guest and not so special guest.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's going to be a 5-person review. Jesus, we'll see how well that turns out.
Yep.
RPG roundtable.
Yes. So for those that don't know, Lauren is a very good friend of Corey and mine. She's been on a couple Patreon bonus episodes, The Last of Us Part 2 review. And she was also the one that nominated NieR Automata. So in general, we plan on trying to get the people who nominated the game onto the actual second part of the review. So I'm excited for that. But with that said, let's move on to our plugs. One way, if you are interested, if you enjoy the show, that you can help us out is to rate and review us on whatever podcasting service you use. If it has a review system, it helps the show out a lot. The way the algorithms work, it's kind of weird. Like a show gets a review and then more people see the show for whatever reason. So yes, please do that. But another way you can help out the show
is Patreon. So early episode access, ad-free episodes, and the Aftercast. Extra reviews, the RPG Club, which is what we just finished. We're in the middle of right now, and many, many more. You can find that at patreon.com/RPG Afteryears.
Absolutely. We appreciate all our patrons, and anything else you can give is very much appreciated. So if we do stream these episodes live to Twitch, we're streaming right now, and it's usually Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern over at twitch.tv/RPG Afteryears. I think the plan is we will do this again next week for this part 2, and we will also be doing a bonus review Saturday at noon, so Eastern time. I look forward to that. Also, I'm streaming at _Scott_spot several times a week, so look me up.
Another way you can support us is through merch on Redbubble, so redbubble.com/ /people/RPG After Years /explore, or you can search for RPG After Years.
You can even email us. Oh yeah, you get some sweet swag there. You're not wearing any.
Not today.
Not today. You can email the show at rpgafteryears@gmail.com to give us any information, feedback, just general questions, concerns, comments.
Another place you can hang out with us and chat with us on the daily is on Discord. So the link for that can be found in the show notes or our pinned tweet on Twitter. So our Discord usually has lots of conversation about various amounts of games, and we usually like to fight with each other and then joke with each other and then hang out and all kinds of fun stuff.
It's straight fire in there.
All the time.
Half the time
tacos and crabs everywhere.
It's like that gif of the black guy who walks into the burning room with pizza. That's what I feel like half the time with the Discord. But speaking of Twitter, you can find the show at RPG Years, and you can find me at the Scott Spot with no underscores.
And you can find me at HaleBlue1569.
You can find me at AYD Hizzle.
And that's going to do it for episode 51. So join us next week as we finish the review in episode 52. Unintentional rhyme there. We will surely become as gods. Until then, I'm Scott.
I'm Rich.
And I'm Jay.
Bye.
Become as gods.
Become as
Become
gods.
as gods.
Become as gods.
Become as gods.